Thank you for listening to The Lawyer's Daughter. This is Jen Carroll, and this podcast does not have any video. I know I'm on YouTube, but that doesn't matter. I really appreciate you listening to the podcast here. Let's go get started. I don't know about you guys, but I rather love these little podcasts. It is August 16th. I hope that everybody had to do something on the 15th. Did it yesterday. It's August 16th. And we're still talking about conventions. And I love doing these podcasts because it gives me a chance to, of course, swim in the ocean I love, which is campaigns and politics and all of that. But also, it's just, I hope I'm helping you get excited about what's going on and what's coming and how to get involved in the process, regardless of your party preference. I really care that you're just involved and doing your best to be a good citizen in terms of civic engagement, my big buzzwords. So today we're going to talk about how conventions really ignite voter power. As we learned yesterday, we spent a long time building up to what conventions are, and they've morphed and changed and it kind of adapted to our changing culture, technology, all kinds of things. So what's the goal of a convention? Why do we have these things? And like I said, the Republican convention, I believe, was in July or June. I don't remember. I should look that up. I apologize. But we're heading into another one on Monday. And so it's a chance for you to observe a convention, regardless, again, of your party affiliation, and just observe a convention as a part of our democracy. So let's just get started. And I'll, like I said, I usually write my blog first, so I'm a little bit reedy, but I want to include all the data that I gathered to share with you today, all the information. So if we're going to be really honest, a lot of people might think political conventions are just stuffy speeches and flag waving. But, my dudes, conventions are really where the real action begins. And they're not just about speeches and stage performances. They're about getting people excited and getting people to move and go do something, get off their tushies and go take action, and transforming a viewer into a voter. Think about that. A lot of times we're very passive. We've probably even become more passive in some ways other than trolling people on social media, but generally we're passively taking in information. So the idea of a convention is to essentially activate us. I talk about that a lot in marketing. I've got to figure out how to take my content and then activate it, get people to actually consume it, get engaged with it, and to make it a preference of theirs. So that's really what a convention is trying to do. It's to activate voter engagement and grassroots movements. And it starts with you. Like, in a lot of ways, convention's about the leadership of the party, but at the same time, it's really about us, the grassroots people, all of us out here who need to find a way to our way into a campaign and our own way to engage with it in a way that's meaningful for us. So if you think about it, every major political movement starts with individuals, people who get together who want to take action. It happens in a parent group a lot of times when you're just starting out, or it happens maybe if you're at school, it happens in a student group when you want to stand up for something. My daughter had a petition for starting a hot lunch program at her primary school, and then she got in trouble for having a petition, at which point I looked at the leaders of her school and said, "What is wrong with you? It's a petition. You're still in charge." They thought the petition was bad. Needless to say, we left that school, because if you think a petition is bad, you need to have your head examined. That's how these things start. That is how change happens. It's when you find who your coalition is and you come together. So a convention is really that. And you can either attend a convention, not so easy, probably too big of a deal for me to attend a convention unless I was a delegate. I would for sure go as a delegate. But you can also watch and you can share on social media or be, I remember when, I forget what election it was, but I was so excited that I sat on Twitter with my phone while I was watching the election results. It was like I was in the room. It was just great. So that's a way you could participate. It's just get on social media and join people who are talking about the thing as it's happening. Or you can also do the other fun thing that we used to do in my family, because we're really into politics, is we'd have friends and family over, and we'd have them over for convention nights. And then sorry, I'm laughing because Inevitably, there were cigars, which had to be smoked outside. So you can imagine my mom telling everybody to get out of the room. And then there were always cocktails and good snacks. My dad was always good about the good snacks. I'm talking, for those of you who are younger, used to be this thing called Hickory Farms. And it's not necessarily Hickory Farms, but I'm trying to take you back to the idea of this place that sold meats, all kinds of meats. And the meats and the crackers and the cheese would come out from my dad's buddies who would come over. It'd be women too, actually. We were fairly progressive in that way. We had a lot of women that come over too, couples that come over to our house, and it would be political. So there's a way to consume this in a way that fits your lifestyle, is what I'm saying. So you watch these conventions, and they're supposed to inspire and energize you and help you find essentially your voice within the context of the campaign. So conventions are about more than speeches. They're this call to action. And you will and should hear powerful keynote addresses and heartfelt pleas. It's not just background noise. It's meant to try to reach you and to ignite your involvement. So when you are listening to something, you might even want to make a note. If there's some things that really resonate for you, that they feel like so core to who you are, that's what you probably should pursue in your pursuit of civic engagement around a campaign. If there is something that you really care about, join those people. First of all, you found your people. And second of all, they'll have identified ways where you can participate in a way that's meaningful and can affect change. So that's a lot of how conventions work. It's like, I always use my cocktail party example for social media, but it is like a giant cocktail party, and you don't have to be a drinker. Let me be clear. I do not drink socially. I have one. I'm not a great drinker. I cannot hold my liquor worth crap. So now you know my secret kryptonite, which is, oof, do not let Jen have more than one drink. But the point is that it's the cocktail party feeling, right? Where that's when the room is got a kind of energy. You can walk around and talk to people, and because you share a commonality, whether whatever brings you to the party, there's actually things to talk about. It's not as difficult to chat. So that's the idea. You're rallying around somebody or some idea or someone you care about. You're super excited and you want to start to participate. So that's how the grassroots part fits in. But now that you have a convention and these campaigns have managed to connect with you around a cause or something you really care about, it's time to translate that into action. And your participation can be social media, voter registration drives. I have a whole podcast about how to get involved, and I think I forgot on there. Shoot, I don't even remember right now. I forgot what. Oh, it's going to these meetings. A new thing that's happened this year, like I've never seen before. Thank you, technology. Are these Zoom meetings? They're fantastic. It's like I tiled into the comedians. It's like a show, and it's just this free show, but it also helps to hear so many people talking about values and what they're really committed to. And I have tried to get a man who listened to the Christians for Harris, which is interesting because, as you notice there's a little bit of a dichotomy. But what he said was the call didn't end up being political. So honestly, you can say Christians for Harris and kind of set that to the side. What the call ended up being about was around values. And very deep and enduring Christian values that the people on the call felt like were being pushed down or pushed away or just basically had gotten lost in our constant media battle to grab the latest soundbite. Let's just face it, we live in a world where everything's chaos and everything's soundbitey. I sit here right now just to promote my podcast and get caught up in sound bites. Ugh. Okay, so the idea is at a convention is to move you from the hype to the hustle and get you moving. So if you're fired up, you're going to be expressive. That's at least the point of view. And if you can remember back in 1980, Ronald Reagan gave a convention speech that wasn't just about policy, but it was about painting a vision of America's future. And it resonated so deeply with people across the country because it was around optimism. And renewal, and it connected with millions, driving them to volunteer and get involved in the campaign and contributing to his landslide victory that reshaped American politics for decades. People still talk about that speech in 1980. Then in 2008, Barack Obama delivered his acceptance speech that wasn't just a speech, but it sparked a movement. This is his acceptance speech at a convention. People walked away inspired and ready to hit the streets. They registered voters, they made the calls, and guess what? It worked. The 2008 election saw a massive turnout, all thanks to people who got involved. So if you use those two examples, both Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama, you can see how it happened at the convention, guys. That's what got people fired up. And in a weird way, we're in a, I'm not going to say artificial, but it is somewhat artificial. I'm not going to say unprecedented. But the fact that President Biden stepped down when he did after getting, after winning the primaries and shifted this, it's essentially given us a 100-day campaign, which I got to say, I'm really preferring. I don't know about you guys, but I wish we could be more like Europe and do these 100-day campaigns and not have this malinger and affect politics every damn day. It's nice to see the campaign just focusing on the messaging. Right now, 100 days even feels almost a little long, but it kind of isn't, because I can see right now in August, a lot of it right now is hype, and we're starting now to get to policies and values and things, and that's coming in, and that's really what the campaign's supposed to do. It's supposed to bring all the hype together around a platform. And we'll talk about platforms shortly, not today, but shortly. So if you think about it, one of the things that's happened since 1980, when Reagan was around, and even a lot since Barack's speech and Obama in 2008, we had Google, we had the internet, but it was still fairly nascent. I think I just joined Twitter in 2008. It was that new. I happen to be early just because of marketing. I mean, been early in a lot of social media. Not anymore because I can't keep up. But back then I was very up on all the social media. And I think I'm a Twitter baby from 2008, probably around the election as well. So if we think about this digital shift has changed how all of us mobilize. Me sitting here staring at a stupid computer. So we're in this always on online world that's crazy, and there's always information out there, and it's not just about speeches and confetti anymore. Conventions are about live streams and memes and Instagram stories and getting people talking. At the 2020 Democratic, let me start with 2016. At the 2016 on the Republicans' 2016 Donald Trump's campaign, they really demonstrated the power of digital content in a different way. So remember Obama, they talked a lot about social media and the Obama campaign for 8 years. There was a lot of talk about what that campaign did using social media. Well, now we slide into 2016, right? Obama's wrapping up. It's Trump versus Hillary. And so we have the 2016 campaign, and they used the content differently. The campaign used social media, especially Twitter, to bypass traditional media and communicate directly with the voters. Trump's tweets and online presence became a central part of his campaign strategy, engaging his supporters and driving the conversation on his terms. There's something social media can do for you. It can let you decide how you want to have the conversations. Very different from the news media. The Trump campaign also capitalized on user-generated content, with supporters creating memes, videos, and other digital content that spread rapidly across social platforms. That's what happened in 2016, kind of post-Obama, because we knew that momentum was building on social media. And if you recall, there was a lot of bad stuff that happened around social media too, but it is this digital mobilization is very important to campaigns. If we look at the 2020 Democratic National Convention, so just 4 years ago, it had to go entirely virtual because of the COVID pandemic. So they tried not to view it as a setback. I mean, let's face it, it is a bit of a setback. It's a lot different to just say, hey, everybody, yay. And no, there's no convention. But the organizers decided to transform it into a digital event that reached millions of people. And it'll be interesting to see if they hybrid some of that into this 2024 convention. things that they learned in 2020. So they didn't just ask users to watch, but they encouraged active participation. And so that, as a marketing person, I can tell you all the time with digital, we're looking for ways to get you to engage with our digital content. And I call it activating the content, finding a way that you can engage with it. So I suspect we're going to see much more of that as we move forward with campaigns, is somehow taking it out of the television, which it's not a television anymore, it's your streaming device, and making a way for you to talk back to it. Maybe, I mean, there's lots of things. I don't know if we're all quite ready for them yet, but things like, real-time voting or real-time thumbs up or thumbs down on something being said. It's kind of like how they do with focus groups, but at a much larger scale. That kind of thing could be interesting. So if we've watched this digital engagement growing, we are finding that in this year, in the 2024 election cycle, unbeknownst to anyone, this one really came fast. The Harris Walz campaign has been a tremendous benefactor of memes and viral content. And that has been absolutely positively organic. I don't think they were just barely meeting each other. And meanwhile, all over the internet, especially on TikTok, people are creating their own videos to participate in the campaign. That is a sign of a healthy democracy. That is a good thing. And generally, they're positive, which is another good thing. Okay, so here's the last part of these conventions. The conventions are just the kickoff. You have to get involved. Well, you don't have to. I strongly encourage you to get involved. I mean, the fact that you're listening to this means you're getting involved because you're listening and you're thinking about it and it's crossing your mind. Take the hype and take the enthusiasm that you come out of from your convention, whichever ones that you watch. And I think you still can watch the Republican convention, but decide how it makes you feel and figure out a way to get you going. I mean, the convention is there to rally the troops, and we're the troops. Let's face it. We're the feet on the street. I don't even know all the other. I was going to kind of rip on a few of them, but I can't think of all the other little colloquialisms we have there. But we are the feet on the street, and we got to go. We got to get the work done. So watch the speeches, feel the excitement, remember you're part of the story, but figure out how it works for you and how you can get involved. And you don't have to do this alone. Get a friend, online friend, real life friend, however it works. But there are buddies out there. So use this convention as a launch pad. And tomorrow we'll talk I don't even know what the subject is tomorrow. I haven't even looked that far ahead. Today has been a busy day. But tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about conventions, but I believe we're going to launch into the platforms and how platforms are developed. Because when we come out of this convention, we're really got to get into the issues. That's where the meat is, and that's where we decide what kind of country we want to have. Thank you for listening today, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Make sure you subscribe and rate, and I'll be back with another episode really soon.